Good morning, class. How are you? Are you ready for today's lesson? Before we'll start, arrange first your chair and make sure that your area is clean. Let's begin. Now, class, I have a picture on the board. Who can tell to the class what is in a picture? Very good. The ant and the grasshopper. I know that all of you know the story of the ant and the grasshopper, right? Okay, now all together, let's hear and sing the song about the ant and the grasshopper.
In the summer the ants were working, bringing food to their hill every day, while the grasshopper sang in the sunshine. On his fiddle his song he did play. Fi-dee-di-dee-da-doo-da-dee-da-do, Fi-dee-do-dee-da-dee-dee-da-day. I will sing all the while neath the sunshine, neath the moon I will dance, I will play. In the autumn the ants were still working, but the grasshopper still did not care. The ants asked, why don't you store food for winter? When it's cold you'll have no food to spare. Fi-dee-di-dee-da-doo-da-dee-da-do, Fi-dee-do-dee-da-dee-dee-da-day. Above us all there will always be sunshine, and there always will be time to play. Time went by and along came the winter, and the wind gave a cold icy chill. Snow fell down and there was no more sunshine, so the grasshopper went up the hill. Fi-dee-di-dee-da-doo-dee-dee-da-do, Fi-dee-do-dee-da-dee-dee-da-day. I am cold, I am wet, I am hungry, and I'm sorry I played the days away. In the valley he went to the anthill. He was cold and embarrassed and sad, but the ants told him that he was welcome. Then he thanked them and felt really glad. Fi-dee-di-dee-da-doo-da-dee-da-do, Fi-dee-do-dee-da-dee-dee-da-day. And the grasshopper said, in future seasons, work comes first, then I'll have time to play.
Now, today you will be listening to a beautiful story. But before you will listen to the story, I have here some phrases on the board. Let's find out the meaning of these underlined words as you listen to the story. I will read it first and you will repeat after me. Understand? Very good! Number 1. The young lady said yes to the man because he visited her every day, gave her gifts, and was so persistent. Number 2. The detective was puzzled because he could not find any clue to the mystery. Number 3. The angry policeman glared at the people who were jaywalking. What is the underlined word in the first phrase? That's right, persistent. Now I have here two pictures. The first one shows two boys riding a bike, while the second one, a boy forcing her mother to buy a candy or a toy. Now, which in the pictures do you think it shows persistent? That's right, the second one. Very good. Do you understand now the meaning of persistent? Okay. Now let's proceed to the second phrase. What is the underlined word? Very good. Puzzle. Now, I will show you again pictures. The first one, the girl fell into the stairs, while the second one, a girl is confused to something. From these pictures, which one do you think shows puzzled? Very good, the second one. That's right. Now for the third phrase, what is the underlined word? Okay, glared. Again, from the two pictures, the first one shows a man is staring his son angrily, while the second one shows a mother giving his daughter a treat. Which one do you think represent the word glared? Okay, the first one. Very nice answer. Now, do you know the meaning of those words? Very good. Now, class, what comes into your mind when you hear the word curse? Do you think it is a good to say bad word to others? Why not? Do you know some stories where the characters are cursed? Okay, can anybody share some stories to the class?
Now, I have here pictures with me. What can you see in the picture? Very good. This is a picture of a man and a grasshopper. Today, we will be listening to a wonderful story that we can get a life lesson from. This is the story of Enzu, a young man who lived in a village of Ethiopia who wished to marry the beautiful daughter of Lord Sky and Lady Sun. So what do you want to find out in the story? Was the young man able to marry the beautiful daughter of Lord Sky and Lady Sun? Did Lord Sky and Lady Sun permit the young man to marry their beautiful daughter? Did Lord Sky and Lady Sun receive the letter of the young man? Before we listen to the story, what are the things that you should remember? Okay, first, we must listen attentively. Second, understand the story. Third, behave. And lastly, stop making unnecessary noises.
Now class, are you ready to listen to the story? Very good. Now, who can tell to the class again what is the question that raised earlier? Very good. Now, listen carefully as I tell you the story for us to find out how did the grasshopper help Enzu to win the daughter's heart of the goddesses. Now class, are you ready to listen to the story? Very good. Now, who can tell to the class again what is the question that raised earlier? Very good. Now, listen carefully as I tell you the story for us to find out how did the grasshopper help Enzu to win the daughter's heart of the goddesses.
In a village in Ethiopia, a young man named Enzu wished to marry the beautiful daughter of Lord Sky and Lady Sun, so Enzu wrote a letter asking for permission to marry their daughter. But how could he?
Enzu sent the letter to Lord Sky, who lived in a house in the heaven. Enzu went into the forest where he saw a deer.
Mombi,
He said.
will you take my letter to Lord Sky?
The deer just looked at him and replied.
I would like to help you, but no matter how high I leap, I cannot leap as high as the sky.
Enzu waited until he saw a hawk.
Mikumbi,
He said,
will you take my letter to Lord Sky? Don't be silly.
replied the hawk.
No one can fly that high.
Soon, Enzu saw a halakoko bird.
Hala,
He said.
surely you will take my letter to Lord Sky.
The halakoko bird replied.
I can fly higher than all the other birds, but even so, I cannot fly as high as the house of Lord Sky.
Enzu went home frustrated. We sat down to think how he might send his letter to Lord Sky. He thought until his head ached. Suddenly, he felt something jumping up and down his big toe. He looked down.
Young master,
Said Grasshopper.
give me your letter. I will take it to Lord Sky.
Go away, Grasshopper. I have asked Mombi, Mikumbi, and Hala. The deer can leap and the birds fly, yet they cannot reach the sky. How then can you, a little green hopping creature, do what they cannot do?
Give me the letter, and you will see.
All right,
Said Enzu.
but if you fail, I shall crush you.
Grasshopper knew that Lord Sky and his family drank water from a certain well in the village. Each morning, Grasshopper saw Lord Sky's servant girl climb down a cobweb ladder to the well with an empty jug on her shoulder. She would lower the jug into the well, fill it with water, pull it up, and carry it back to Lord Sky's house. Holding the letter in his small mouth, Grasshopper jumped into the well. He balanced himself on one of the rocks. As soon as the servant girl lowered the jug, Grasshopper hopped into it and was carried to Lord Sky's house. The servant girl placed the jug by the door of Lord Sky's room. Grasshopper hopped out of the jug and placed the letter on a table. Then, he hid in a corner and waited. In a while, Lord Sky came. He saw the letter and read it. He called the servant girl.
Did you bring this letter from Enzu?
He asked.
Master, I did not bring that letter. I do not even know Enzu.
The next morning, Grasshopper hopped into the empty water jug and was carried back to the well where Enzu was waiting.
Well,
Said Enzu,
do you bring and answer?
Young master,
replied Grasshopper.
Lord Sky read your letter, but he gave no answer.
I do not believe you went to Lord Sky's house. I knew it. You're just making a fool out of me.
Enzu shouted, raising his foot to crush the grasshopper.
Do not kill me.
Begged the grasshopper.
Please give me another chance. Write another letter, and this time I will surely get an answer when Lord Sky reads it.
Enzu glared at the grasshopper.
I don't know if I can trust you again.
He said angrily. He thought for a few minutes while Grasshopper hopped up and down nervously. At last, Enzu said,
All right, I'll give you one more chance.
He really did not know who else could help him.
Thank you, master,
said Grasshopper. Just as before, Grasshopper went to Lord Sky's house, put the second letter on the table, and hid in a corner. Lord Sky was more puzzled than before when he saw the second letter. He wrinkled his forehead and tugged at his ear. He looked around the room and under the table and outside the window. Grasshopper held his breath and kept out of sight. Finally, Lord Sky said,
I still wonder who brought this letter.
Again, the servant girl replied,
Master, I did not bring that letter. Truly, I do not know that Enzu.
The servant girl already looked very worried. Lord Sky shook his head.
This man, Enzu, must have magical powers.
He said,
How else could his letters have gotten here? He must be an important man.
Lord Sky leaned against the table.
Bring me a pen and paper. I will answer his letter.
Lord Sky wrote,
To you who sends letters asking for my permission to marry my daughter, I will agree. You seem to be a persistent young man. But first, you must send me a sack full of gold to prove you can take care of my daughter.
Enzu read it and said,
What will I do now? How will I get enough gold to fill a sack?
Do not worry,
said Grasshopper.
I will help you. Go home and get a shovel. Then I will take you to a secret place deep in the forest where you will find enough gold to fill a sack. Also, bring food. You will need strength, for it will take much walking and hard work.
Enzu wanted to give up already. He could not believe how a small grasshopper could help him.
This is unbelievable. How could Grasshopper know where to get the gold?
He asked himself, but since he really wanted to marry the princess, Enzu did what Grasshopper told him. 3 days and 3 nights they walked into the deep forest. 3 more days and 3 more nights Enzu shoveled and shoveled and shoveled until he struck something hard, a large, round clay pot.
What is this?
Asked Enzu, tired and disappointed.
You bring me here just to let me unearth an old clay pot? How could you do this to me?
There is no time for explanations, master. We should hurry so we can give the sack of gold to Lord Sky.
Then Grasshopper took the sack full of gold to Lord Sky's house. Because of his excitement, Enzu never bothered to ask how Grasshopper would bring the sack of gold to the house in the heavens. What Enzu did not know was that Grasshopper had a magic Okukululu box. Grasshopper put the sack on the table and hid in a corner. Lord Sky's eyes glowed when he saw the sack of gold. He sat down and wrote another letter at once.
Enzu, by your magical powers and gift of gold, you have proven that you love him and can take care of my daughter. You may marry her in my house in the sky.
He placed the letter on the table and left.
Grasshopper,
Enzu said after reading the letter.
You have done what anybody else cannot do, and I thank you for that. But all is in vain. How can I get there in the sky? I am too big to hide in a water jug and too heavy to climb the cobweb ladder.
Don't worry,
said Grasshopper.
I will think of a way so that you can marry the princess.
The next morning, Grasshopper took his magic Kukululu box with him to Lord Sky's house. He hopped out of the jug and hid under the princess' bed, where he stayed until the princess was fast asleep. Then, without waking her, he took her voice and put it in his magic Kukululu box. Someone was coming, so Grasshopper hid again under the bed. he heard Lord Sky say,
Lady Sun, what is the matter with the princess? She opens her mouth, but no sound comes out. What shall we do?
Grasshopper returned to Earth the next morning. He gave Enzu the Kukululu box containing the voice of the princess.
Young master, write another letter to Lord Sky. Tell him you have the magic to restore his daughter's voice if he sends the princess to you on Earth.
After Lord Sky had read Enzu's letter, he said,
Put on your bridal dress, daughter, and go to Enzu. He has the magic to make you well. He will be a good husband.
And so it was Grasshopper who helped Enzu's wish come true. On the eve of the wedding, Enzu thanked Grasshopper. But instead of answering, the Grasshopper turned into a young man. He was smiling at Enzu.
I should thank you, master. I was cursed by an old medicine man when he saw me taking tea. Clay pot full of gold. I was so extravagant and did not care about others. He turned me into a grasshopper. I could only return to my old self when someone trusts me and if I do good to somebody.
So, Enzu and the princess lived a happy life.
Now class, did you enjoy listening to the story? Very good. Now this time, let's answer the questions that we raised earlier. So let's read them all together. Number 1. Was the young man able to marry the beautiful daughter of Lord Sky and Lady Sun? Great answer! Number 2. Did Lord Sky and Lady Sun permit the young man to marry their beautiful daughter? Very good! Great answer! And lastly, did Lord Sky and Lady Sun receive the letter of the young man? Great job!
Very good, everyone. And now, I have your questions about the story of the clever grasshopper. Are you ready? Very good. And now, let's start.
And now, the first question is, where did the story happen?
Very good. The story happened is in the village of Ethiopia in the forest.
For the second question, who are the main characters in the story?
That's right. The main character of the story is Enzu, the young man, Zambo, the grasshopper, the princess, and the Lord Sky.
For the third question, who is the father of the princess who live in the house in heaven?
That's right. The father of the princess is Lord Sky.
For the fourth question, how did the grasshopper go to the house in the heaven?
That's right. The grasshopper hopped in the jug that was carried by the servant to the house of heaven.
For the fifth question, what is the name of the hollow cocoa bird?
Very good. The name of the hollow cocoa bird is Hollow.
For the sixth question, what was the major problem that the young man faced?
Great job! The main problem faced by the young man Enzu is how to get a sack full of gold.
For the seventh question, who helped him?
Very good. The grasshopper helped him.
For the eighth question, why was he so willing to help the young man?
That's right. The grasshopper is willing to help to escape the curse of the old medicine man by doing good to others and trusting him.
For the ninth question, how did the young man react to his friend's help?
That's right. The young man just frowned to his friend's help.
For the 10th question, what could have happened if the young man did not believe his friend?
That's right. He wouldn't be able to marry the daughter of the Lord Sky.
For the 11th question, if you were the young man, would you do the same? Why? For the 12th question, if you were the grasshopper, would you do the same? Why? For the 13th question, what lesson did you learn from the story? For the 14th question, who can think of another ending for the story?
Now class, this time we are going to have an activity for you to answer about the story of the clever grasshopper. Are you ready? Okay, good. Prepare your paper and pen. And the instruction for the set A, write all the words that can be described the following characters.
Now, in your paper, write all the words that can describe Enzu. Now, in your paper, write all the words that can be described Zambo. Now, in your paper, write all the words that can be described Lord Sky.
For set B, write down in the box the possible cost why Zambo is cursed.
In your paper, write all the possible cause why Zambo is cursed.
For set C, arrange the events in the sequence as they happened in the story. Number them from 1 to 6. Write your answer inside the box.
Now, sequence the following events.
And this time, children, who can come in front and retell the whole story in the class? Very good, everyone. That is our lesson for today, where we learned about the story of the clever grasshopper. Thank you and see you next time.